David, we got a super chat. I'm sure you can answer. How is the growth of Islam in the last decade?
As far as this past decade, the main growth of Islam is high birth rates. That's what it is, and Islam's growth is based on. Matter of fact, when you heard Muslims running with this argument, Islam is the fastest growing religion, that means it's true. That's stupid on multiple levels. Something growing rapidly does not mean that it's true. I mean, communism was one of the fastest spreading movements in all of history. It doesn't mean that it's true. You can make a very similar argument. You can say, well, Christianity is the biggest religion, therefore it must be true. No Muslim's going to accept that. But they all ran with, Islam's the fastest growing religion because of a Pew study, which said that Islam is the world's fastest growing religion. If you actually look at the study, it specifically said it's because of high birth rates in Muslim countries and Muslim communities. Even Muslims in the West tend to have higher birth rates. If you start looking into why Islam has the highest birth rates, you start finding out that this is because of Islam's impact on women. If your entire goal for women is to turn them into baby making machines, then guess what? If they're not going to, in Afghanistan, girls ain't going to school for very long. The goal is to marry them off as quickly as possible. And guess what? They start having kids at 13, 14, 15, 16, and so on. By the time a woman in the West is having her first child at 27 or 30 or 33, the Muslim woman is on her 10th or 11th child. And so that's a recipe for high growth rates among Muslims, and that is the main source of the growth of Islam. But what you've also had over the past decade is that what they called, we didn't come up with this, they called it the avalanche of apostasy. From about 2005 to about 2020, the apostasy rate for young Muslims went from close to 0% to 24, 25%. So that is extremely rapid growth in the rate of apostates. And that's actually tied to a lot of what's going on in the world. The Muslim scholars, as much as they thump their chest and we're growing so rapidly, we're going to take over the world, as much as they thump their chest, they're looking at this apostasy rate just skyrocketing. And they're in a panic mode because the apostasy rate is soon going to pass the birth rate, and the birth rates are not going to be able to deal with the apostasy rate. And so basically overall, the situation is, if you go back 20 years, your average Muslim who is aware of the growth of Islam could be thinking to himself, this was pretty standard back then. We could sit back and do nothing and we win. We don't have to do anything and we win just by birth rates. 50 years from now, we're going to have the biggest numbers in the world. And so all we have to do is sit back and do nothing. We don't want to sit back and do nothing. We want to accelerate the process. But even if we sit back and do nothing, we eventually win. That was the position 20 years ago. The position now is, if we sit back and do nothing, we lose. We lose because the apostasy rate is going to be canceling out the high birth rates, and we're going to lose. So they're in a panic mode, and a ton of the stuff that people are confused about in the world, like why are they doing this? This is insane. Like, why are they clinging to people like Muhammad Hijab and Ali Dawah and Daniel Hakikachu who are running around, child marriage, we want child brides and stuff like that? Why are they clinging to these guys? Because they're desperate right now. They're desperate. What are we going to do about the massively accelerating apostasy rates? We have to do something. We have to do it right now. You can't wait 10 years. 10 years, what's the apostasy rate going to be? 40%, 50%, 60%? What's it? You can't wait until then. They're in panic mode right now about the future of Islam. And so they're clinging to absolutely anything. And any dawah guy, guys, if you want to be a complete grifter, become a dawah guy right now. They will rally around you and shower you with attention and money right now, if that's the route you want to go. So they're in a panic mode. So dawah is one direction of going. Any dawah guy who stands up right now, I'm going to save your future generations of children from becoming apostates, I will stick it to the kuffar, you're going to be their new hero. But there's another direction people are going in, and this is what you see with Iran and Hamas and the resurgence of ISIS. They're in a panic mode too. They understand we cannot wait 10 or 20 years. It's too late. A study a few years ago showed that 40% of people in Iran still believe in Islam. 40%. It's a Muslim minority nation, if that study is correct. Now, that could be somewhat biased because it was an online poll. So there could be villages and so on that don't have internet access or something like that that are skewed. Point is, you're still dealing with let's say half, to be generous and say it's skewed somewhat. You're talking about half the population doesn't even believe in Islam anymore. If you're Iranian leaders, you're looking at that going, we cannot continue like this. It's going to be too late. What do you have to do? You have to set things off. So Iran pushes the button on Hamas to launch a terrorist attack. They're trying everything they can to consolidate Muslims. So notice the goal. We'll have Hamas launch an attack against Israel. Israel will retaliate. This will put Muslims in the world in a defensive position. Oh no, we're being attacked right now, and hopefully we can deal with the apostasy problem. But so anyway, yeah, you have still had the growth of Islam because of the birth rates, but the apostasy rates are catching up with it, and Muslims are in a state of panic right now.